All right, hello YouTube. My name's Paul. Nice to meet you all. Welcome to the channel today. Now, this video, which is the first on the channel, is basically covering the whole topic of the United Kingdom and the current state of affairs of the UK right now. Now, as you can tell from my accent, I am Scottish. Okay, I was born and raised in Scotland, and I stayed there for 23 years of my life. Now, I'm 42 years old now. So obviously there's a big gap between 23 and 42. And I'm going to explain to you pretty much in this video what I've been doing. Because I can't live here anymore relates to my feeling when I was in the UK when I was 23 years old. Okay, now there's many factors behind that and that pushed me on to my next phase. Now my life has drastically changed since then. I was just graduating university and I had my future ahead of me, right? And I did plan to stay in Scotland for a few years, but things transpired. It caused me to stay, sorry, not to stay, to go, excuse me, because things just weren't looking good for me then. Now these days, there's so many problems in the UK, right? When I go on YouTube, I see so many videos. We're talking about healthcare. We're talking about interest rates, mortgage rates, income tax, national insurance, sorry, it's been so long since I've been there. The cost of living crisis, right? Energy bills, taking the energy money away from the elderly, the people who need it the most. Mass immigration, right? And probably mass emigration too. Now, if you think about it, in the UK these days, you've got a lot of people who are educated. A lot of business owners are heading the hell out of there, right? And they're being replaced by those that are lower class workers, lower skilled workers, I should say. Now, my video is not going to be venting about immigration, although I have many issues with that. This video today is all about the story of me leaving the United Kingdom. Now, I want to give you some help, okay? If you're someone that feels that you're tired of the way you're being treated in Scotland and England and Wales and Northern Ireland, in the UK in general, if you're sick and tired of being unable to save money, if you're sick and tired living to work as opposed to, working to live, then you're probably in the right place. Okay, now I'm going to give you some courage today. I'm going to give you some motivation. I'm going to give you some understanding, and I'm going to try and give you some reason as to why you should probably take that next step and get out of the UK now. It's a sinking ship, right? It's a little island in the most part of the UK. It's a sinking ship. It's been run by a government that pretty much does not really consider your feelings, and they are not doing things for the best of the British people. In the UK, it's a shame. It's really a shame. When I left the UK in 2006, it was better then than it is now. Okay, now I've been home a few times. So let's rewind it, okay? Let's go back a little bit and give you a little bit of history about me. So I'm the youngest in my family of 5 people. You'll have to excuse me, I've got a little bit of a cold. I'm the youngest in a family of 5 in Scotland. Now, I was also the black sheep of the family, okay? I always felt like I didn't really belong. I was very, very different. I felt like to my parents, to my brother, to my sister, nothing much in common. There was a 6-year age gap between me and my brother, 2 years between me and my sister. And I guess you would say I was probably closer to my sister than I was my brother. But I was the youngest, okay? Now, in the most part, the youngest kind of gets treated in a different way to the oldest. Yeah, and it was no different in my situation. So what you've got is, you've got parents who are working hard, right? Full-time jobs, providing for their family and their kids, which I will always appreciate of my mum and dad. My brother and my sister got a lot of attention, probably a lot of gifts, a lot of, good things. Whereas Paul was kind of like, he's the youngest, it doesn't really matter, right? They're kind of tired by the time they get to me, which actually was not a huge deal for me, and I didn't really mind it as such. What I would say is, when it came to things like feeling as part of a family, I always felt on the outside because of these reasons. Now, I'm going to take you to my early teenage years, which is really important for any boy or any girl. We moved to a country house, and on the day that the house was being viewed by my parents, my brother and my sister went with my parents, and I was at home watching football, right? I was a huge football fan. So I'm sitting in my room watching football. They went to see the house. They decided they're going to buy the house, and already my brother and my sister chose their rooms. Now, the problem with that is letting your children decide what rooms they want as opposed to giving the rooms as a parent and making a really, sensible decision to put the youngest maybe first in this situation. It ended up being my parents' room here, my brother's room here, my sister's room here, and then a huge hallway, a huge kitchen, another huge hallway, and Paul's room right at the other end of the country house. Now, this country house was a massive bungalow, so you can imagine it's pretty scary when you're pretty young, right, to sleep alone in the most part. When it was bedtime and I said goodnight, there's nobody around me. Okay, now, this creates some issues when you're growing up. You're going through puberty, of course. You're trying to work out who you are as a person. You're trying to develop your social skills, your mental skills, all these different things. Friendship was very important to me, okay, for that reason. Now, because I was alone a lot in that family, in that setting for 6 years in that country house, during those important years as well, I actually developed, a lot of kind of comfort being alone, right, in my own time. So I was really comfortable alone. I didn't need to sit at the dinner table, okay? Family dinners, I was in my room eating my dinner by myself. And the funny thing is, my parents, my brother and my sister were always sitting around the same table. For them, that was part of, family, right? But for me, that was not. Because when you're kind of like pushed to the other side of the house by yourself at 12 years old, you quickly develop the skills to cope alone and by yourself. And even at that age, I felt like I didn't really need, not that I didn't need my family, but I was okay by myself. So fast forward this to maybe 15 or 16, I have the best friends. I've just been so lucky with my friendships growing up. And I would always have my buddies over, playing some music. We had a pool table, a small pool table, not a full one, in the lounge area next to my bedroom. And I could play music quite loud because I'm so far away from my parents' room. No one really heard it. So it was great, actually. And looking back on it, it was a fantastic time. But the whole point and why I'm explaining this to you now is because this links to what I did at 23 years old, okay? So keep watching and you'll find out. Let's fast forward this a lot, okay? We're going to go now to university. Now, I was not the best student at school. I pretty much just went to school to play football, right? Break time, lunchtime. I'm running to the football pitch. I don't even care about studying. I don't even care about eating food at lunch. So for me, school was kind of like a wasted opportunity. I think I was better than the grades that I got. I didn't really care. I didn't look forward to going to school. I just wanted to see my friends and play some football. That's pretty much it. And I'm sure a lot of you too can relate to that. However, I did manage to kind of turn myself around, okay? So what I did was I actually entered a YTS scheme straight after school. It's kind of like a youth training program. Okay, it gives you work experience for really low pay, but that work experience in a company hopefully provides you with a full-time job opportunity at the end of it. So I thought to myself, what's the point of me staying here in school, doing hires, going to university, going to college, whatever, when I can just go straight into the workforce, prove myself and try and get a job. This is where my problem started, okay? So it was a one-year course, and I finished that one-year course in about 8 months. And every single day I was getting work experience. I was working for the National Health Board, okay? So I thought it's a pretty good place to be in. And I was always asking questions. I was going around department to department to department to department. Every single department, I was getting about a month's work experience in every department. And that was going to provide me with, a bag full of skills that I could use in a potential full-time job opening up to apply for that and try and get a job there. Now, of course, I don't have the educational background at this point, but what I do have is the ability to learn fast, the ability to talk. My social skills are pretty good. I've always been a pretty confident guy. You know, I'm not really scared of a challenge or a change, so I welcome it. I was always asking the manager of my department that I mainly worked in, and he was telling me, Paul, there's opportunities, you know, you just got to apply for them. Eventually I did, okay, after basically 7 months, and I was promised pretty much, Paul, you're the favorite to get this job. I was great in the interview, no problems. And the final verdict was I was second choice. Okay, so I was gutted. At 17 years old, everybody, I was about to get a job paying about £25,000 a year. Now, back in 2000 and, yeah, maybe 2000, that is a lot of money, okay? I said, okay, what's the reason? And they said, basically, because we think you're too ambitious. Okay, so I was really upset because, you know, of course I'm ambitious. I'm a young guy. I want to try and make it in this world, but I'm going to give my all, you know, for the department, for the company that I'm working for. They chose a married woman with 3 kids over me because in their eyes, she seemed like a more secure option. It's not going to leave them after 2 or 3 years. So I was really upset. I was gutted. But that kind of pushed me on, right? And I said to my manager of the department, what do I have to do to get this job? And he's like, a bit of education behind you would help. So what I did was I went to college for 2 years. I got my HND diploma, went to university, graduated with a business degree. Okay, so that's me, business degree, 2005 now. And my mum and dad, the first thing they said was congratulations, which was cool. I was so happy after studying for so long. Sick and tired of studying, to be honest, at that point. And they gave me a briefcase, right? And I'm like, a briefcase? What is this briefcase for? You know, it's a kind of symbol of pressure. It's a symbol of being stuck in the work cycle, right? You know, get a job, get married, have kids, buy a house, etc., retire. So they gave me a briefcase, and it kind of was a little bit of pressure. But in 2005, with a bachelor's degree in business, I felt like my opportunities were good. My chances were good, right? I had a lot of work experience in the National Health Board. I'd worked part-time jobs in ASDA, etc. when I was studying. So I had a lot of friends, a lot of social connections at that point, and a lot of motivation to, you know, to be successful. But the difference between me then than 17 years old was not only did I have the experience, now I had the qualification to back it up. So for me, I thought I was indestructible. I thought I was unstoppable. I must have sent out about 50 or 60 emails for jobs. I only got about 2 or 3 replies, and those that did reply to me basically said, you know, thanks for applying for the job, but I'm afraid there's nothing really available for you right now. And I was sitting there, right, in the UK. I spent all this money doing my BA. I'm sitting there thinking to myself, what's the point, right? What's the point of me being qualified? What's the point of me having experience if no one's going to give you a chance? And the problem in 2005 in Scotland was a lot of the jobs were occupied by people that don't want to leave, okay? These managers, these assistant managers, they're comfortable in their own environment. They were comfortable in their own shoes. They don't want any change. They don't want anyone challenging their opinion. They don't want anyone taking their job, okay? So you are basically left in limbo. Am I supposed to go back to ASDA with a BA in business and like have a smile on my face? Do you know what I mean? And like, oh yeah, successful Paul. No, I absolutely did not accept it, okay? And in 2005, I started to research working holiday visas. And I was like, I've had enough of this place. I don't want to live here anymore. I didn't want to move to England because I pretty much felt it's going to be, in the most part, apart from London, it's going to be pretty similar to Scotland. So I decided to take a 1-year working holiday in Canada. And that's where I went. Now, my parents couldn't understand this. Why are you leaving, right? Why are you leaving us? You know, you're not going to come back for a full year. And I'm like, you know, I need to test myself. I need to get an experience. I've got an education. I now need life experience. I've got to open my mind, okay? I've got to, you know, expand the boundaries. I've got to see the world. I can't just live in Scotland for the rest of my life and just, you know, accept the way it is. At 23 years old, I felt like I was ready to go. I felt like I was ready for a change. Now, going back to the countryside house where I was on my own, that set the roots for the person that I became at 23 years old. I wasn't scared to go. I wasn't scared to leave my family. You know, I was embracing the change. I think a lot of people are scared of change, right? Change is a pretty scary thing. Even now at 42 years old, I think the older you get, the more scarier change becomes. Well, I was embracing it, right? And my mum and my dad, my sister and my brother, they didn't understand. My mum and dad didn't really accept it, I think. So I went away for a year, okay? And I had the best experience. I'll talk about this in another video. But in Canada, it was the best experience I've ever had in my life. And the problem with a working holiday visa is you only get 12 months. And at that time, my 12 months was up. I had to come home, okay? So back to sunny Scotland, folks. Maybe not sunny, but yeah, back to grey Scotland. Coming back there in Scotland, I was met with emergency tax. Okay, so basically all the money that I earned for 3 months when I came home, I had to pretty much give it all back. That hurt. Okay, so after being away for 12 months, it's not easy to come back to the UK after not being in the system for 12 months. I met a lot of cool people in Canada, and some of them were actually South Korean, okay? Those South Korean people that I met in Canada became my best friends, and it actually led to my next journey. I ended up going to South Korea, which requires you to have at least a minimum of a degree to teach English there. And all the way now, at 42 years old, I'm actually an English assistant professor in Korea. Okay, so that's where I live, that's where I work, this is where I'm filming right now, is Korea. So I'm a Scottish guy living abroad, and I've pretty much been living abroad now for about 19 years. So that's a long, long time. Now, it actually breaks my heart to look at what's happening in the UK because things are slowly getting worse. Nothing seems to be getting better. And the issues with that moving forward is no one sees the light at the end of the tunnel. It's just a tunnel, right? It's almost like the UK is getting deeper and deeper and deeper into a hole. So these are part of the reasons why I've actually left the UK and why I haven't came back. Other reasons why I haven't came back are the cost of the visa for my wife. Now, my wife is actually South Korean. I have 2 children. Okay, so I'm a father, I'm a husband. Excuse me. I was actually planning to come back about 10 years ago, but the cost to get my wife into the country is absolutely unbelievable. And the amount of money that you have to pay to go through this visa process, which only lasts you about two years, and you have to do it all again. It's incredible. It's just pure greed. And now my wife's also got a degree. Okay, so right now I've got a master's degree. She's got a degree. Pretty educated people, right? Doesn't matter. You have to pay these fees to get in. So knowing that, and also the news about immigration and mass immigration and the state of our country, it's almost like the British people are being put to the side, you know? Oh, you're British, get to the end of the line. In fact, don't even get in the line, just wait over there, you know? And that's what's happening, right? In the UK right now, budgets are being cut. They're taken away from the British people. They're taken away from the vulnerable people, like my mum, you know, who's 75 years old. And I think it's completely unacceptable. And am I proud to be British right now? Am I holding up my passport saying, wow, I'm British, man. You know, what a fantastic country. Absolutely not at all. I feel like our country is becoming a laughing stock. I feel like we're just going downhill fast. And the issue for me is paying all that money for my wife to go to the UK. What does it do for me? You know, it just puts me in a financial deficit that I have to work my way back up to. And not only that, from my experience in the UK, there's no job opportunities. There's no, if you're out of the country for more than 12 months, they don't really want to know you. And I've been out of the UK for 19 years. So I don't really think I'm going to fit in. Now, let me tell you something about travel, okay? So you're obviously thinking to yourself, Polly, with the title of this video, okay, I can't live here anymore. That was my mindset when I was 23 years old in Scotland in 2005. Well, I can tell you right now, I can't go back to the UK and live in that condition. I don't know what is happening. I have 2 young daughters, okay? Now, my daughters obviously mean the world to me, as does my wife, my family does. I'm a very family-orientated person, okay? So number 1 in my life is family. I have been seeing the reports of what's happened to those poor little girls. Okay, now I'm not going to get into this too much in this channel, but I think the UK is not a safe place to be. Even at 23 years old, going out to a nightclub, having a few beers in Scotland, it wasn't safe. There was always trouble. There was people always trying to cause fights and cause arguments. And of course, some people actually just go out to fight, which was common. I don't know how much it's changed now, but it's certainly not safe for young people. It's not safe for young girls. So that, in a nutshell, is one of the main reasons why I will not go home to the UK. But if you're thinking of traveling, right, I'm going to end this video soon. If you're thinking of traveling, one of the biggest things that I'll say to you is, don't be scared of the change, okay? We only live once, right? YOLO. I'm sure you've heard it all 1,000 times. Now, YOLO doesn't necessarily mean you have to bungee jump, okay, or go skydiving tomorrow. YOLO also means you have to think about your decisions because you only get one chance. Now, YOLO, in my eyes, means that you should do the best thing for you and your family. If you're single, if you're not married, you should grasp the opportunity while you can to get out of the UK, because there are a lot of cool countries, cool cities out there, and amazing people. And lifestyle is totally different, right? The weather's different, the economy's different, culture's different, all these different things that you can also learn. Don't put up with the way you're being treated right now in the UK. Change is not a bad thing. Change is a good thing. In my opinion, in life, you can go the easy way, okay? Or you can go the hard way. Now, the hard way is always the choice that I made. And I've never regretted it since. And I think that also goes back to the time that I was in that little room in the countryside all by my own at 12 years old, because that was pretty scary to close my eyes at night, knowing that nobody's around me, no neighbours, no sound, just darkness. And I was all alone. Now, as a father of two and having two girls, I would never put the youngest by themselves. That's just my opinion. I would never, ever do that. Okay, so yeah. I don't understand why my parents did that, but I'll cover that in another video. I kind of have an idea. Maybe I'll share that with you later. I have a lot of stories, by the way, to tell, but the main point of this channel right now, folks, is to help you, okay? Motivation, believe in yourself, don't be scared of change, choose the hard path, in my opinion. But I've got a lot of experience of traveling. I know what it's like to be in the UK when you're fed up, and I also know what it's like to be at that airport when you're not coming back. So these are the things that I'm going to share on this channel. Finally, what I want to say to you about traveling also is the danger of culture shock and reverse culture shock. Culture shock is when you go to another country and it's like, oh my God, I'm in Asia right now and I don't understand any of this. I can't handle it, right? It's like a different culture, different everything. A reverse culture shock is when you go back home to your home country and you're like, I feel like a tourist. And literally I felt like a tourist every time I've went home. Because I teach English here at a Korean university, I speak quite slowly to my students, right? And I found myself speaking slowly to Scottish people. I went into a bank and I was like, I'm looking for a new bank card. Could you help me? And my buddy was with me. He's like, taps my shoulder. I'm like, what's up? He's like, why the heck are you talking like that? And I'm like, talking like what? He's like, you're so slow. Why are you talking so slow? And I'm like, oh, that's because obviously I'm so used to being in Korea, right? So reverse culture shock is when you come back and it's like totally different to what you remember, or totally different to what you expect, or what you experience every day in the country you live in. Final point, okay, about culture shock, reverse culture shock. When I go into a store here in South Korea, there is no communication between seller and buyer. It's not like in Korea they say 안녕하세요, okay, 안녕하세요, hello. There's no hello, how's the weather, how's your day, how you doing, okay, have a nice day, see you later. None of that. It's basically you walk up, you put your item on the counter, you pay for it. Maybe you can say 감사합니다, okay, thank you in Korean, but that's it. There's nothing more, nothing less. When I went back to the UK, I was in a clothes shop, put my clothes on the counter, and the girl on the counter basically said to me, so hey, how's your day? And I was just like, I'm just like looking at this girl going, what? She's like, how's your day? I'm like, oh, my day's good. Yeah. How about you? You know, and she's like, oh yeah, not bad, not bad. She's like, you know, pretty bad weather, right? You know, and I'm like, whoa. I'm like, I didn't know how to react. It's just a normal conversation. It's small talk, right? And I didn't know how to react because I never get it in Korea. So that's a little bit of reverse culture shock right there, an example. Listen up, I'm going to finish the video. Thanks very much, folks, for listening. Now, I will try to bring a bit of happiness as well to this subject, but I'm going to cover it more in videos to come. You know, it's a new channel. Subscribe if you can. Help me out. Like it if you can. It's all good. And I'd be interested to know in the comment section, if you are in the UK right now, how you feeling? What's your plan? If you're thinking about leaving, which countries do you want to go to? And maybe you all actually are in a different country right now. Let me know, where are you? How you feeling? Do you have plans to come back? If any of you viewers want any help from me regarding South Korea culture, travel in general, working holiday visas, just drop me a comment. I'll try and help you. All right. Take care. All right. See ya. Bye.